Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
Hafide, one and all, BIBA Liberation 2020. This is a most unique year, but that cannot stop our spirit, who we are as Guamanians, and our passion, Sabrina Salas Matanani, for celebrating liberation here on Guam. I'm Jason Salas, Hafide.
And today, July 21st, typically this whole place would be packed as we commemorate the island's 76th liberation. And this is a first for all of us here on Guam, our very first virtual liberation parade.
We can't wait to celebrate with you, so let's start the show.
Hafide, July 21st, Guam's Liberation Day, is our most celebrated local holiday. This day marks the new beginning for our island and our people after a 3-year Japanese occupation in a conflict we had no say in.
Last year, we celebrated the diamond anniversary of our island's liberation. We went from village to village, from Chaguian in Jigo to Faha and Tinta in Malesu, and all the sites in between. Each time, we laid a wreath, said a prayer, and reflected. We stood side by side with our Manamku and listened to their stories, not only of pain and suffering, but also of their faith, hope, and perseverance.
For their bravery, their sacrifice, and their will to live, we call them our greatest generation. They are our parents, our grandparents, and our great-grandparents. They are our aunts and uncles. They are our heroes and the reason each of us is here today. Let us remember all those we lost and our Manamku who survived. For years, our survivors had to wait for their suffering to be recognized. Earlier this year, our administration created a local war claims program that expedited the payment of $12.4 million in war reparations to adjudicated claimants. And more importantly, they received the recognition they deserved.
In liberation of years past, we would celebrate with the annual Liberation Day Parade and Carnival festivities. However, a global pandemic has changed all of our plans. While we can't participate with the usual fanfare, we need to remind ourselves that honoring our Manamku means keeping them safe from this virus. We need to protect them just like they protected us.
For this liberation celebration, let us remember and recognize those we lost, those who survived, and the servicemen and women who continue to protect our freedom. Viva Liberación, and God bless Guam.
When it's not always raining, there'll be days like this. When there's no one complaining, there'll be days like this. When everything falls into place, like the flick of a switch. My mama told me, there'll be days like this. When you don't need to work, there'll be days like this. When no one is in a hurry, there'll be days like this. When you don't get betrayed by that old Judas kiss. My mama told me, there'll be days like this. When you don't need an answer, there'll be days like this. When you don't need a chance, there'll be days like this. When our parts of the puzzle start to look like they might just fail, but just have to remember, there'll be days like this. way that you want to live. Oh, I just have to remember there'll be days like this when no one steps on my dreams. There'll be days like this when people understand what I mean. There'll be days like this when you ring out the changes, how everything really is. So I just have to remember that days like this. Na 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 na. Mama told me there'll be days like this. My mama, she told me, yeah, there'll be days like this. Oh, my mama, she told me there'll be days like this. Mama, she told me there will be days like this. You don't have no freeloaders out to get your case. When it's nobody's business, it's the way that you want to live.
Happy Liberation from Underwood Fire Station. Happy Liberation! Happy Liberation from a symbol fire.
Happy 76th Liberation!
Happy 76th Liberation, Guam!
Half a day. My name is Louise Rivera, Mayor of the beautiful villages of Tumuning, Tumon, and Harmon. What Guam liberation means to me is the honoring of our American troops that liberated our island and our people. Most especially, we honor our war survivors for all that they have endured and for sharing their stories.
Yeah, 89! There you go, go! Yeah, Tamune! Yeah!
As we face this pandemic crisis, I would like for us to remember and focus on the sacrifices that they have made for the freedom we enjoy today and what we have taken for granted. Every year, we look forward to participating in the annual Liberation Day festivities. We would start by choosing a Liberation Queen candidate. We do this way in advance to start raising funds for the sale of raffle tickets. All proceeds from these funds would help to defray the costs for the festivities and to assist with our community programs. Here in Tumuning, Tuman, and Harmon, we have wonderful programs such as the Senior Center participants and dancers, our cultural dance group, a Zumba fitness group, a Hula for Health group, the Skaters group, basketball, soccer, and tennis clubs, and several baseball teams. We always invite and encourage our community program participants to join us for the Liberation Parade, either to ride on our float or to perform and showcase our different programs that we offer here in our community. For this 76th Guam Liberation, we are still celebrating, but in a different way. I acknowledge and love our theme, reflection, recognition, and remembrance. And I hope and pray that by our next Guam Liberation Day, we will go back to celebrating the normal traditional way with a queen and a royal court along with all the festivities.
Happy Liberation! Happy 76th Liberation Guam!
Because we, as islanders, are resilient.
Bonito ando todos que es la cruz. Magahi, go bonito dan ganpu. Bonito ando todos que es la cruz. Magahi, go bonito dan ganpu.
Happy Liberation Day. BIBA Guam.
It marks the final memorial ceremony closing out the island's commemoration of 73 years of liberation from the Japanese occupation of Guam during World War II.
For 4 years, the banner was the Forgotten Heroes. We changed it this year to the remembering the victims, and that's what it's going to be for forever.
The memorial service was held at the Chiguyan massacre site in Jigo. A total of 50 men were forced to march here from the Menengan concentration camp in Jotnya. 5 managed to escape, while the remaining 45 were decapitated. Although they were identified, research conducted by Chiguyan Memorial Service Committee Chairperson John Bloss indicates there's a mass grave located on the property.
In the past week, I have been in touch with the Marine Corps Museum in Quantico, Virginia, with the Historical Division. And they just replied to me the other day via email that they found a record of the 21st Marine Regiment. It's very voluminous, a lot.
But in those records, Vlas says contains important data provided to the military by one of the men who escaped. His name is Enrique Taitano Cruz. You see, days after the massacre, the military brought him back to Jigo to identify the men who were beheaded. Now, because of this, Vlas says the records should reflect something no one has been able to uncover.
And it may tell me the grid coordinates of the mass burial.
And if that's the case, Vlas's shrine can be erected to honor the forever remembered 45. He's hoping to receive the information anytime now.
Welcome to Guam Point of the War in the Pacific National Historical Park. Guam Point and Apaca Point comprise the two southern landing sites where Marines landed on July 21st of 1944. This whole area in front of us was a place where intense battles were fought, and unfortunately many Americans and Japanese died right here in this area. The ridge had been turned into a fortress that contained tunnels, that contained areas where they could store their ammunition and artillery shells. And at the time it was very well concealed, and Americans had no idea that this ridge was intensely fortified. Gun emplacements, unlike pillboxes, were built for concealing and protecting artillery guns rather than machine guns or small arms, as it would be the case with pillboxes. Here on the wall we have Japanese writings that were left here when this pillbox was built. And here we can see a perfect example of a gun emplacement below and a pillbox just above that. Gun emplacements were used for small artillery guns as well as RPGs, while the pillboxes, the smaller pillboxes, were used for machine guns, possibly snipers, and other smaller arms. Right here behind us you can see the Orate Peninsula, where the village of Suma used to be, and where the American strategist decided to encircle the Orate Peninsula and Opera Harbor by landing at Ascenbridge and here in Agate. Guam Point is also significant for one more interesting factor, that after the war, many Chamorros who were confined in concentration camps by the Japanese were liberated, and they were brought here to this area, present-day Agate, where they were given food, medical supplies, because the homes of these people had been destroyed and they had nowhere to go. So this area served as a refugee camp for those Chamorros who were liberated here on Guam.
Alphabet Dr. Guam. We are the Blas family from El Paso, Texas.
We wish you all a very happy 2020 liberation. Stay safe and be healthy.
BIBA Guam!
We are Task Force Guardian Home. We would like to wish our friends and family a safe and happy 76th liberation. Embrace each other, support each other.
BIBA Guam! Happy Liberation Day, Guam, from the Cruz family all the way in Washington. Please be safe in all your celebrations.
Now, Guam is made up of many people, many different villages, and many different types of ways to celebrate liberation.
And we're going to have so much more after the break.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
When you want to make the most of your time, waiting in line should be last on your mind. Introducing Skip Lino, the most convenient way to visit DOCOMO Pacific. Simply download the Skip Lino app on your device, set your region to Guam or Northern Mariana Islands, find DOCOMO Pacific, and select the location you'd like to visit. Spend less time in line and more time with the people who matter most with the Skip Lino app. Can't wait to see you soon. DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to KUAM's first ever virtual Liberation Parade. We wish happy Liberation Day to you and your family. I'm standing on hallowed ground here in the capital of Hagåtña. Here is where Marines came and liberated our island so many years ago, 76 years ago. This is Marine Corps Drive, named after those brave Marines. And right across the street, an island tradition, the Chamorro Village, a center of capitalism, of culture, so much going on right here. And we have another greeting for you. It's our beloved General of the Guam National Guard, General Esther Agate.
Hafaday! The men who stormed the beaches of Agate and Asin in 1944 were willing to sacrifice their lives to regain the land of our home and the freedom of our people. We are forever grateful for those brave soldiers, Marines, sailors, and Coast Guardsmen. As we celebrate Guam's 76th Liberation Day, I encourage us all to reflect on those sacrifices and the sacrifices made by our Chamorro people. We remember and honor the strength and resiliency of our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, And just as they banded together to ensure their survival, so must we. We fight a new kind of battle against a new kind of enemy, the COVID-19 pandemic. Let us not only consider ourselves, but the well-being of those around us. Let us band together to protect our most vulnerable, our Manamko, who built our history, and our children, who will build our future. Let's honor the strength and resiliency of our heroes by staying strong and resilient ourselves. So, on behalf of the Guam National Guard, I would like to wish all Guamanians a happy and blessed 76th Liberation Day. The style of celebration may be different this year, but the spirit will never be overshadowed. BIBA Guam, BIBA Liberacion, and God bless you all.
Welcome to Calaguat Memorial, located in Tigan, Barragata. Here today, I'm with one of our war survivors, Mr. Joseph Mofnes.
Hi, BIBA 76 Liberation Day. I am Joseph P. Mofnes. I am the son of the late Jose Alvin Mofnes and B. Paris Mofnes. This area here is very, very secret for me because this is where I survived. And I'll tell you why I said that is because when I was born, my mom has to hide me somewhere so that the Japanese will not take any kids away from the parents to send them out for their own benefit. And my mom will put me on this cave here for so many days, sometime a week, and she will ask one of our friends to see whether they can feed me while I was in this cave. And my mom will be sent over to either the northwest or up to Menengan to help out make food for the Japanese and do their laundry, while my dad is being marched over to northwest to help out on the airstrip and so forth. Now, let me just tell you, one of my very, very momentous share is that I almost died here because I was left in this cave, and when the Marines found me, they told my mom that I was lucky that I survived all these days, and I have to be placed in the hospital for about a week because I was malnutrition, and food is very rare at the time. They have to feed me whatever, milk they find, whatever, so that I can survive. And unfortunately, I was lucky that I survived, and I will cherish this cave for as long as I live. So therefore, I like to say, on behalf of the Barrigada Mayor's Office and Mayor June Blas and Vice Mayor Jesse and my friend Willie Flores for putting this up as a mementos for the Barrigada organization.
Never was all
For Guam, each year we commemorate Liberation Day with memorials, fireworks, and even a parade. This year, due to unforeseen circumstances, we put together a unique way of honoring those who are gone and those who are still here today. We salute you. It is with great honor as the Mayor being allowed to wish each and every one of you a happy 76th Liberation Day, Guam.
Happy 76th Liberation Day, Guam! BIBA!
All right, our Liberation Day festivities continue right here on KUAM's virtual Liberation Parade, and I am pleased, privileged, and honored of having the Honorable Mayor Jesse Gogri of Orta Chalampago joining me now. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for giving me some of your time.
Thank you for taking time to reach out to all the mayors and allowing them to participate in this virtual liberation.
Absolutely. And happy liberation to you and the good people of not one, but two neighboring villages. And I wanted to start with that because, you know, your responsibility and just the wonderful people and such genuine signature hospitality that exists in both Orta and Chalampago. You know, it's unmistakable when you travel the island. So what does liberation mean to that part of the island?
Well, I think liberation for most of the people in this island, especially what I refer to as the ancestral families, the families that still live in the village, whose families lived in this village, or more than anything, really worked the land in this village prior to World War II. And my family was one of them. You know, my grandfather at the time, prior to World War II, he was actually the commissioner of Sinahanya up till the war, from 1936 to 1941. And but they ranched here. So most of the families who now live here, these were their ranches. But for those who lived far away, there were several families that their homes were like more towards Dedido and some down towards Sumai. You know, they would come here like 6 days a week. And the only time they'd head back home was for church on Sundays, because prior to World War II, we didn't have churches. You know, the two churches, the Catholic churches that we have in the village now. And so people remember the war. In fact, my father said when they started bombing Guam, he was actually at the ranch, and he heard all of this explosion. He had two older brothers that were with him at the time, of course, pasturing the cows and feeding the pigs, and then and pulling weeds where it needed to be pulled. And he said, we got to head home. You know,
one thing that I've always appreciated about the people in both Orta and Chalampago is they've always spoken with a very uniform voice. And, you know, like they're like, you know, we believe in the same things. We hold the same, you know, virtues, you know, to our heart. You know, we always speak as one family. Obviously, we're two separate villages, but, you know, we're all the same. So what one unifying message would the people of Orta and Chalampago like to say and, you know, broadcast, if you will, to the rest of the world on this very unique Liberation Day?
Well, and see, that's the thing. You know, when you take a look at Orta Chalampago, which is, you know, the beauty of Orta Chalampago, although it's the central part of the island, we're dead center to this island, is that we're still very family oriented. More than anything, we're still more a residential community than all of the other villages around us. In fact, I would tend to say, you know, when you take a look at Manilo, you take a look at Barragata, and even Mongong Totomaisi, all of that commercial development and industrial activity that occurs in their villages, Orta Chalampago has remained a village of the community for the community. We don't have a lot of that stuff. And so we've been fortunate that besides myself, all of my predecessors have tried to maintain that ambiance of being a community, of remembering, you know, the challenges our families faced after the war, and just basic survival, basic providing for their families. And so we still have people that farm. We still have people that depend on the land to provide for their families. And we try to emphasize that, is that you know, jobs come and go, but land does not come and go. And if you don't protect what you have so that you can use it in the future to feed your family, then what are you left with?
Well, like I said, Mr. Mayor,
what are you?
The love and the respect and the hospitality of the good citizens of both villages, absolutely unmistakable. You know, you can walk into one of those villages blindfolded and you're like, nope, I know I'm in Orta Chalampago, just being the way I'm being treated and the way I'm just truly made to feel at home. So thank you very much, and happy Liberation Day to you and everybody there.
Happy Liberation to you, Jason, and the KUAM family, and all of those who take the time to watch your virtual broadcast. Happy Liberation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Frank Castro will never forget the faces of his dying friends. He bore witness to attacks by Japanese forces.
I shall keep in mind that the Memorial Park is more particularly dedicated to my friend Juan and others who have died upon the Salt airfield site some 76 or 77 years ago.
Celebrating his 89th birthday soon, the experience of forced labor to build the Japanese airfield more than 7 decades ago are ingrained in his memory. He and his family were able to seek refuge in the jungle after their escape.
There were a number of times when we came so close, so very close to being captured, and we knew that if we knew what the end would be.
Frank's story and the lives he remembers are memorialized at today's unveiling of the Calagwek Memorial in Barragata. A Ladystone fountain and plaque marked the site where thousands suffered. Mayor June Blas says that the unveiling fulfills a promise close to home.
Never in my wildest dream did it occur to me
that our God in heaven would place me in a position to fulfill my Father's wishes. And as I found out later, and even today, the wishes of thousands of Chamorros.
The community placed stones on the fountain's base. Written on them are the names of survivors and the fallen, never forgotten in the stream of the island's history. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglotny.
Buenos Day, Guam. It's the Candyman here, coming at you live from Nimitz Towers. Happy Liberation, everyone. You know, this year we weren't able to march because of social distancing and whatnot. And I remember when I was a young soldier in the National Army, Guam Army National Guard, they used to call me out to call cadence every year of the Liberation. And this was one of my favorite cadences to call with my brothers and sisters in arms. So this one is dedicated to Battalion, 1st 294th Infantry Regiment. So it's for you guys. Say I'm steamroller, baby, still rolling on down the line. 'Cause I'm a steamroller, baby, still rolling on down the line. So you better get out of my way now. I'll love you. I'll be a drill sergeant, baby, just a drilling on down the line. I'll be a drill sergeant, baby, just a drilling on down the line. So you better get out of my way now. For a drill, I love you. With just a little rock and roll. Oh, you know it kinda soothes my soul. So you better get out of my way now. For all over you. Woo. Happy Liberation, everyone.
Half a day, and welcome to the Aslan Beach Overlook. And this place is so special because it can house the 17,770 names of Chamorro people and the Americans that lost their lives during World War II. 1,880 Americans that lost their lives here in Guam, and 1,170 Chamorro names of those that they lost their lives to. And the rest are the Chamorros that encounter hardship. Also, you can see the name of the Chamorro gentleman that came ashore, George Cristobal, known as Jorge. He was with the Sons of Guam, which you will see their memorial here in Hawaii. He came in on the third waves at Aslan Beach, surrounded by the Marines. And that's make it unique because he came here to save his own people here in Guam. And not only that, but he also saved his own dad. And in the north, when they were searching for the Japanese, the resistance of Guam was so tough for the Americans, they couldn't even advance from the beach into these hills about a week later, and they got up into these hills, Nimitz Hill, and at this very point where we're standing. So this place has the most beautiful sight and has the most significant turning point of the war here in Guam, which started July 21, 1944, October 10, 1944, that's when the war ended. And Guam was safe, Guam was secured. So all the people across the Pacific, we honor them. That's why we have this national park here in Guam. We didn't invite people to come to our land. We didn't invite the people from outside to come to take over our beautiful islands, but they came. So we should all join together to figure out what and how we should preserve our custom, preserve our tradition, and our culture. Because it is us, we will continue to promote our islands, tell the people about us, the world, and how beautiful the Guam people, with all these different sites here, encounters all the hearts of every Guamanian. That when you see them, you see these sites, you will know that the people of Guam has the largest heart for forgiving of what happened during the war, and yet we welcome every walk of life to come and see the beautiful sight, to come and see the war in the Pacific.
I'm Senior Airman Genevieve Palmares.
Staff Sergeant Jovel Peters. Tech Sergeant Martin Duenas.
Staff Sergeant Arian Nicholas.
Tech Sergeant John J. Salpati.
Tech Sergeant William Walker.
Tech Sergeant Olana Fehari. We're from the Guam Air National Guard, currently serving the Southwest Border Mission.
We would like to wish our families, friends,
fellow service members, and the people of Guam
Happy Liberation Day! Viva Guam!
Hospiday! We're the Duenas family from Daddy Doe, currently residing in Houston, Texas, and we just want to wish a happy Liberation Day to all our fellow islanders there back home and everyone across the world out in the States, and everybody stay safe, and yeah. BIBA! Woo! Happy Liberation.
Hospiday! We are the Segurger family from Kingwood, Texas, wishing Guam a very happy liberation. Viva Guam!
Please stay with us and remember to share this live stream with all of your friends on this Liberation Day. It's very, very special. We want everybody to watch. We'll be back right after this.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
Creating this memorial wall was my first piece of legislation in 1993. Creating the War Claims Commission in 2002 was my last. The first honored our people by name, and the second made sure that war claims would be paid out. As we reflect upon their sacrifice and their contribution to Liberation Day, along with the brave servicemen who came to our shores, we are reminded that the struggle continues for full dignity and recognition. If I am your congressman next year, I will spare no effort to introduce new legislation to honor our people. This is our obligation, and no people deserve it more. BIBA ha'anin man libre, happy Liberation Day. I'm Robert Underwood, and I approve this message.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
Welcome back, everybody, to KUAM's Virtual Liberation Parade, where we continue to reflect and remember what happened here on Guam during World War II.
Hafaday, many of God's blessings to each and every one of you. On behalf of the 35th Guam Legislature, I would like to wish each and every one of you a happy 76th Liberation Day. Last year, as we celebrated our 75th Diamond Anniversary, we celebrated a legacy of peace and friendship. This year, as we celebrate our 76th Liberation, we reflect, recognize, and remember the sacrifices of our greatest generation. For decades, our island has commemorated the liberation of our people here on Marine Corps Drive, a highway dedicated to the brave men and women who aided our people during one of the greatest tragedies our signers have endured. My family and I have fond memories of the liberation festivities here in the heart of our island capital. This year, while it is unfortunate that we cannot celebrate as a community, we can still come together as one, embrace the spirit of Inafamalik, and appreciate the freedoms we enjoy today. On this day, Hagåtña was once full of family and friends laughing and enjoying each other's company. A parade of festive floats graced the streets and cultural performances took place. The traditional festive day that everyone is so used to is now hindered. But remember, we are resilient and we will not let this difficult time stop us from advocating for peace, rejoicing in our friendships, and continue on the road to forgiveness. Forgiveness wipes away the tears of war, but we shall never forget the suffering that came along with it as we continue to strive for peace throughout the world. From the safety within our own homes, we can honor and take time to remember and recognize our war survivors, our brave servicemen and women, and continue to celebrate peace. Let us take this humbling opportunity to come together as a community and again, happy 76th Liberation, and BIBA KUAM.
Happy 76th Liberation Day, Guam.
Half a day in commemoration of 76 years since the liberation of our island. It is with great respect and honor that we recognize all our Hagåtña Heights war survivors. Always remember that you represent our beautiful village, but most especially that you symbolize and embody our island's heritage, culture, and traditions, which makes us unique throughout the world. Continue to inspire our residents in our community with honor. I am confident that you will continue to serve as great ambassadors to all generations, but most importantly, as our Agana Heights heroes. Happy 76th Liberation Day. God bless Agana Heights and our beautiful island of Guam. Viva Agana Heights!
Safade, welcome to another episode of War. I'm Sabrina Salas Matanani. We are now in the village of Agate, where island residents, dignitaries, and the military are preparing to make their journey to the Fena Caves, where dozens of Chamorros, men and women, were murdered and raped.
On the bus, we spoke with Mary Babalta. Her mother and father survived the horrors of Fena. She hasn't been back to the site in almost 20 years.
My parents witnessed, the massacre and the torture of Fena. That's the story that I was being told. So I'm here for the first time to support. My mom wants to come, but my mom is elderly. She's in handicap, so I'm here to represent for the family. I have family that's buried here in Waigat Cemetery and down in Sumai.
This was Albert Perez's very first time to Fena. He came to honor his mother, who almost died there, and in some ways to see firsthand what she may have experienced at only 11 years of age.
She was one of the, people that were put into the caves, and she was the next one that's supposedly, well, she told me that she was going to be the next one to be killed, their group. But somehow they survived. I guess when the Americans came in, they liberated her. Even I couldn't do it right now. Oh, I don't know how much suffering they went through. It's unimaginable what they went through. I'm getting older. When I found out about this, I wanted to come to actually see it, what happened here. But now that I've seen it, I feel a lot better now. I feel more. I feel more at ease now that I know what happened.
When we reached the Fena site, those in attendance climbed makeshift stairs to the entrance to the cave, while Guma Ninain Atsulati sang to honor the fallen of Fena. Following the site visit, a memorial service was held at the old Agate Cemetery. Agate Mayor Kevin Siswico.
The legacy of the fallen of Fena continues to live on through the survivors, their families, and all of those affected in our island. In today's ceremony, remember how our ancestors and survivors walked, marched, stumbled, and carried each other to their very end. In like manner, we the people, the families of the survivors, continue to persevere, knowing that our ancestors and the survivors carried a spirit of hope that one day peace will return to our island. Today we celebrate that peace. Today we embrace the pride, the patriotism of the freedom as we look upon our flag colors of red, white, and blue.
Over the last couple of weeks, Governor Eddie Calvo has attended several of the memorial services to honor Guam's greatest generation.
Maybe all we need now is no more speeches from me, but a moment of silence to reflect on that.
The service ended like it always does, with the reading of the names of the survivors of the atrocities at Fena, survivors that retell the story of what happened there so that we always remember.
Elisa San Nicolas Agigi, Maria Chong San Nicolas Alerta, Gregorio Mendiola Babauta, Jesus C. Mendiola, Juan Mendiola Babauta, Maria Cruz Babauta, Rosa C. Babauta, Vicente Torres Babauta, Joaquin Barcenas, Francisco Borja, Francisco G. Camacho, Juan Guerrero Camacho, Yaeli Alcantara Camacho, Ana Muñoz Salas Castaneda, Jose Robago Castro, Santiago Robago Castro, Joaquin Rivera Chaco, Maria B. Chaco, Felix Babauta Charfers, Francisco Muñoz Charfers, Francisco Perez Concepcion, Ignacio Mendiola Concepcion, Maria Mendiola Cruz Cordova, Maria Quitano Crisostomo, Antonio Regis Cruz, Joaquin Mendiola Cruz, Joaquin Ofrecida Cruz, Jose Ofrecida Cruz, Juan Regis Cruz, Maria M. Cruz, Enrique Aquinillo Dueñas, Jesus Mata Espinosa, Joseph Garrido, Rosa Taitabi Garrido, Jesus Concepcion Guzman, Maria Herrera, Vicente T. Herrera, Caridad Lizama, Gregorio Lizama, Juan Kirugua Lizama, Josefa San Nicolas Manguba, Gregorio Sablan Munoz, Mariano Nauta, Ana Muña Nedido, Maria C. Nedido, Rocky Nedido, Sebastian Terlahi Nedido, Francisco Sablan Pangilinan, Ana L.G. San Nicolas Pineda, Jesus G. Kitachay, Enrique Choco Regis, Gonzalo Choco Regis, Joseph C. Regis, Juan Tahito Regis Severa, Francisco Santos Rivera, Pedro L.G. Roberto, Andres San Nicolas Sablan, Francisco Nabing M. Sablan, Jose Sablan, Juan S. Sablan, Antonio Muñoz Salas, Dolores L.G. Cruz Salas, Jose Muñoz Salas, Jesus Muñoz San Nicolas, Jose Chaco San Nicolas, Agnes Nediduc Salcadito, Balbino Muñoz Terlahi, Jose Q. Tapastia, Arthur Carbolito Tovis, Joseph Carbolito Tovis, Juan Ujoa Bendola, Agustin Nediduc Uncher.
Howdy Guam, my name is Daryl Garcia. Happy Liberation Day! I'm here to sing you guys a brand new original song that I haven't released yet. I think the song will be called Reality. It's about if you have those feelings that you want to be with someone but you don't know who they are, you know, but you want to give them this, the person you want to be with, this is what you want to give them, even though you don't know who they are. But when you are finally in a relationship, this is exactly the realm you should be in. Hope you guys like it. Alright. I just wanna know if you're the one I fall in love and make a son. I just wanna know if you're the only one. I just wanna feel your warm embrace every night in a place. I just wanna know if you're truly mine. And it's like, don't bother for me. The world is the same. It's like anatomy. You learn
Alright, that was it. Thank you guys.
We are at the Marine Monument at Ascent Beach. The monument was erected here to commemorate the sacrifice and bravery of all those who fought here in 1944, who landed here at Ascent Beach in their attempts to liberate Guam from the Japanese. Officially, our number stands at 1,880 service members who died in their attempts to liberate Guam. For that reason, every Memorial Day, we plant 3,050 flags here at Ascent Beach, of which 1,880 are American flags, commemorating each life lost of Marines and soldiers who were here in 1944 liberating Guam, and 1,170 Guam flags commemorating the Chamorro lives that were lost during the occupation and liberation of Guam. Ascent Beach has a very rich history aside from its connection to the World War II and being a landing site. During the Spanish era in 1898, at the time when America won the war against the Spanish and claimed Guam, at the time Ascent Beach was the place of a leper colony. All the people suffering from leprosy were brought here to Ascent Beach and they were confined here in attempts to segregate them from the rest of the society to contain the disease. In early 20th century, the leper colony was converted into a prison, and it famously housed Apollinario Mabini, one of the founding fathers of the Philippine independence movement. He was brought here together with his compatriots and imprisoned as a result of his struggle for independence of Philippines. Later on, after the liberation of Guam, Ascent Beach was converted into a base camp used by the military. And then very soon, with the start of the war in Korea, Ascent Beach was converted into a hospital connex. And soldiers and service members wounded in Korea first and then later on in the war in Vietnam were brought here to Guam to get medical help. Later, towards the end of the war in Vietnam in 1975, when hundreds of thousands of South Vietnamese were fleeing Vietnam as a result of the Viet Cong taking over the country, many Vietnamese were brought here to Ascent Beach, which was converted into a refugee camp. This is 1975. And over 100,000 South Vietnamese refugees were in process and they lived here at Ascent Beach at the refugee camp. Note that 100,000 is a very large number to compare it with the population of Guam at the time. Finally, in 1978, the Congress passed an act establishing the creation of the War in the Pacific National Historical Park here on Guam. And Ascent Beach since then was dedicated to become one of the several park sites, national park sites here on Guam. And today I would say it's the most popular one because of its scenic beauty, of its size, and its central location for the island of Guam.
Hapa Guam, Lily Hightower here from Gulfport, Mississippi, originally from Mastumbo, Dedido. I wanted to wish my family and friends around the world, especially on my beautiful island of Guam, a happy 76th liberation. Although we're apart together. We can get through this. Stay strong, Guam. God bless you. BIBA Guam.
Today, we're the Cahigo family from Houston, Texas, wishing Guam a very happy liberation. Be strong, Guam. We may be apart, but we are apart together. BIBA Guam!
Hafa, my name is Kyle Balahaja. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I just want to wish Guam a happy liberation. Hope you guys are being safe. Take care. I love you guys. BIBA Guam!
Guam's first ever virtual liberation parade continues in a moment.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood. Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
Hafide and welcome back. The worldwide celebration for Liberation Day 2020 continues right here with the KUAM Virtual Liberation Day Parade. Here are more of your Guamanian celebrations.
Hafide. Every July 21st, we come together as one community to celebrate Liberation Day. While we can't gather for the annual parade this year, we can still celebrate the bond between the people of Guam and the U.S. military. Guam's liberation during the Second World War sealed that bond and was the promise of a partnership that would continue into the future. So many significant events that have happened throughout the years and cooperative efforts that have taken place just over the last several weeks are testaments to this. The hardships and sacrifices endured here during World War II through Liberation Day remain an important part of our shared history and will always be remembered. We continue to honor the legacy of the Marines and soldiers who stormed the beaches and the Coast Guardsmen, the sailors, and the airmen who patrolled the waters and the skies in the summer of 1944 to protect this island and her citizens. We are honored to serve on this island. We are honored to be a part of the community, and we are committed to the partnerships we have here as we work together to maintain a free, stable, and prosperous Indo-Pacific. See you, Samasi, and BIBA Liberation.
On the occasion of the 76th anniversary of Guam liberation, we cannot but look back with hearts full of gratitude to Almighty God for our beautiful island and the people who have sacrificed their lives for the peace and freedom that we now enjoy. Let us continue to implore Him through the intercession of Santa Maria Kamalen that He may keep our island beautiful, peaceful, safe, and prosperous. From the Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish in Toto, Viva Guam! Viva Liberation! Viva Mongmong Totomaiti!
Hafide, Guam's liberation reached a milestone in history this year. In spite of the COVID-19 pandemic disrupting Guam's annual Liberation Parade and festivities, we will not forget to recognize, remember, honor, and celebrate Guam's 76th liberation and our continuing freedom. Although this moment brings bittersweet memories, may we never forget the pride and patriotism of the United States forces who have liberated Guam from the oppressions of the Japanese, those who have fought and those who have died for the freedom we hold dear today.
Hafide Guam, Happy Liberation Day. May God bless you. Adios. Happy 76th Liberation Day. Thank you. I love you all. Bye.
May we never forget the victims and survivors of the Battle of Guam during the Pacific War and in the War of World War II. How they endured hardship, persecution, and fear so that we could live in peace. Let us forever honor and commemorate them.
On behalf of the war survivors, Viva Liberation, Viva Mongmong.
Happy Liberation Day! Viva Guam! Viva MTN!
I stand here on this historic people's site of the 5th Marine Field Service. This monument, although small, along Purple Heart Memorial Highway is of great importance. As once stood here was a supply outlet for the United States Marines, the presence of Marines prompted many villagers to relocate and move to the villages of Mongmong, Totu, and Maiti. taken us from the traditional sales of raffle tickets, parade ground sleepovers, barbecues, carnivals, and dreams of creating a village flow, to this simple and yet humble presentation.
Happy Liberation Guam!
Happy Guam, Happy Liberation Day! Welcome to fighting.
Good morning, happy children, have a great day, and may the peace and joy of Jesus Christ be in your hearts. To all, be the liberation.
We will not be silent. We will not forget. Viva Liberation Guam. Wahusi Anjasri Santos, I am Guam's royal princess.
Happy day. I'm Mayor of the beautiful village of Guam. We would like to wish you all Happy Liberation Day!
Buenas and happy day. I would like to wish everyone a happy 76th Liberation Day. Viva Guam. Viva hasta mañana.
Happy 76th Liberation Guam!
There'll be days like this when there's no one complaining. There'll be days like this when everything falls into place.
Happy Liberation Day.
Happy 76th Liberation.
Happy day. My name is Darlene Kiwangoku. I am from Asan. I want to wish everyone a happy Liberation Day. Take care.
When no one is in a hurry, there'll be days like this when you don't get betrayed by that old Judas kiss. My mama told me there'll be days like this when you don't need an answer. There'll be days.
Happy day from California. Happy 76th Guam Liberation from the Solis family.
Parts of the puzzle start to look like they might just fit, but just have to remember there'll be days like this.
Happy day, Guam! Happy 76th Liberation from the Linton Solis family in Beaumont, Texas.
Nobody's business, it's the way that you want to live. Oh, I just have to remember.
Happy 76th Liberation Day, Guam.
When no one steps on my dreams, there'll be days like this. When people understand what I mean, there'll be days like this. When you ring out the chains, how I
Happy 76th Liberation Guam!
Mama told me there'll be days like this. My mama, she told me, yeah, there'll be days like this. Oh, my mama, she told me there'll be days like this. Mama, she told me there will be days like this.
because we had a Japanese with a sword, a bayonet, that guided us all the way down to Manangan. When we got there, we were so tired that I remember very well. I was very happy. There was a creek that I jumped into. I was only 6, 7 years old. It was nice. Sat down and actually rested in Manangan.
You don't have no freeloading after when it's nobody's business, just the way that you want to.
I didn't understand what that meant, but eventually these army guys came down from on top of a high ground over to where we were at. Yeah, we suffered. And we're still suffering. Even today, you know, we say, well, what do you think of the Americans? Well, I'm not really concerned about the Americans being on Guam. It is the fact that the U.S., the United States, has finally took a hold of Guam. And I'm very happy that they basically have provided all the requirements for medication and for food. We ate a lot of canned goods right after the war. Thinking back again, I'm just happy to be alive.
As we commemorate the 76th anniversary of our liberation during this health pandemic, we recall the years our Manaine endured occupation of enemy forces and the relief of America coming to our rescue. The inconveniences of our modern-day disadvantages and discomforts do not pale in comparison to the atrocities of war, but it allows us to reflect on what is truly necessary in our lives and to look forward to one day living freely and safely together. 76 years ago, the Chamorro people echoed resounding sentiments for Uncle Sam to please come back to Guam. 76 years later, the Chamorro people are proud Americans that seek to enjoy the inalienable rights endowed by our Creator. We do not live in a perfect world, but we strive for a more perfect union with America. Para todos hamzu ni manyainan mami, ni manyaw na kitempun gera. Inana I hamzu dongkulu na respeto zan honro, puri minesngun mizu, zani hinengin mizu, ni muna fansafo hamzu, gidurantin adzo na tempun sinaksaka. Pwede i-hemplun mizu o sistemi hamlokwe ikamagon mizu. Himan mamala siya na tem.
Basically, I provided all the requirements for medication and for food. We ate a lot of canned goods right after the war. Thinking back again, I'm just happy to be alive.
As we commemorate the 76th anniversary of our liberation during this health pandemic, we recall the years our Manaine endured occupation of enemy forces and the relief of America coming to our rescue. The inconveniences of our modern-day disadvantages and discomforts do not pale in comparison to the atrocities of war, but it allows us to reflect on what is truly necessary in our lives and to look forward to one day living freely and safely together. 76 years ago, the Chamorro people echoed resounding sentiments for Uncle Sam to please come back to Guam. 76 years later, the Chamorro people are proud Americans that seek to enjoy the inalienable rights endowed by our Creator. We do not live in a perfect world, but we strive for a more perfect union with America. Para todos hamzu ni manyainan mami, ni manyaw na kitempun gera. Inana I hamzu dongkulu na respeto zan honro, puri minesngun mizu, zani hinengin mizu, ni muna fansafo hamzu, gidurantin adzo na tempun sinaksaka. Pwede i-hemplun mizu o sistemi hamlokwe ikamagon mizu. Iman mamala siya natin.
Everyone who responded to this whole pandemic, without all of you, we wouldn't be here right now, so this one's for you. But before we end, I want to just introduce the band and all these talented soldiers up here. On my way right on the guitar, shredding it over there is Specialist Aquino. Here on the drums, keeping it down for us, Sergeant Babalta. Here on my way left on the keys, Specialist Garrido. Holding it down on the bass, none other than Sergeant Pinonia. And on the way right over there, the man, the myth, the legend, Staff Sergeant Cunningham. Once again, my name is Specialist Wallace. We're the 721st Rock Band. This next one is Thank You.
Again.
Today, welcome to another episode of War. I'm Sabrina Salas Matanani. We are now on Naval Base Guam, the former thriving village of Sumai. It was one of the first places the Japanese bombed in December of 1941. Every year, a special mass is held here so that we always remember.
Agate resident Felix Camacho Babalta comes back to Sumai every chance he gets.
This is the tombs of my two brothers, Joaquin and Vicente. Both of my two brothers are buried here, after that. And behind it is my grandma and my grandfather.
Let's go see that.
This is where they were buried, side by side with my two brothers.
Babalta's family is originally from Sumai, but like everyone who once lived here, fled when the Japanese began their invasion during World War II.
My parents stay in Sumay, and this is the place, okay? During the war, they moved them all the way up to Maningo for the concentration camp.
Mr. Babalta was only 3 years old at the time.
It's very hard for them, because food is scarce, you have to go and find food, and so lucky that we got a lot of this wild papaya, they're not big, but they can eat for us to survive. And my dad will go out and pick some of the wild vegetable, wild plants inside the jungle to survive for the family.
The Santa Rita Mayor's Office plans the annual memorial service in Sumay, and every year dozens of former residents and their descendants attend the solemn service.
Which he made binding for 1,000 generations, which he entered into with Abraham.
The gift of peace, the gift of reconciliation, and if today maybe there is someone who is still not reconciled, whose heart is heavy.
After the Japanese occupation of Guam during World War II, Sumay residents never returned. Instead, they were relocated to Santa Rita. Mayor Del Alvarez.
Well, my mom was born and raised in Sumay, and she's still alive, and so always talking about Sumay. And every time I talk to my elderlies, they say, boy, Sumay was one of the beautiful villages, It's the first commercial area. And it was supposed to be the capital of Guam, but after the war they moved it to Agana, the capital. She told me that when we come in here and my children, we meet, I show them where Grandma used to live and where she used to play. And then when the war came, where they put her with my other aunts, her sisters and her siblings. So, it's I don't have much to tell them. I just tell them what Grandma tells me, my mom.
Is it difficult for your mom to open up about what happened?
She loves talking about Sumay, but when it comes to what happened, when she's seeing and they're fleeing, she starts crying, And like my Uncle Harris, he's here this morning, and he said he really feels pain, but he's glad to be here. But every time he comes here, he thinks back, and it hurts him because they were all running hand in hand, and he even made a joke just to forget the pain, I guess. And man, if I'm in the shoe business, I'll be a rich man, because plenty shoes were left behind because they were running barefoot, when they start bombing Sumay.
But despite the pain of the past, they still return year after year, and they continue to share their stories so that we always remember.
Every year, and sometimes, a special occasion, I come down here, I get a pass from the gate to come inside here.
Welcome to the PD Guns unit of the War in the Pacific National Historical Park, where you can find 3 Vickers-type British-designed artillery guns that were installed here hastily by the Japanese in early 1944, just before American troops stormed the beaches of Guam in their attempts to liberate it from the Japanese. The first question that usually visitors ask us about the guns is how these guns were brought here so high up from the level of the sea into the jungle and have them installed here. Well, the answer is the Japanese used forced local labor and they used the trunks of the tree to move the guns, or that were broken down into several large pieces, and by rolling them over those logs, they were able to bring these guns up the jungle, up the hill here, to have them installed. These guns have a range of about 10 miles, which means that shells fired from these artillery guns could hit targets as far as Agana or as south as Agate. Luckily, the Japanese never managed to fully complete the installation of these guns, and these guns today are known to be the silent guns because they were never actually fired from. If you try to picture yourself this location on the map, you will see how strategically important this location is and why the Japanese chose this location to install these guns. At the time, there was not as much vegetation here, and the people who were manning these artillery guns would have had a clear view of the Upper Harbor, a very important strategic location, of the Urartu Peninsula, where the only flight line at the time on the island was, and further to the north to Agana, where the administrative center of Guam was and still is. So the location was extremely important. Interestingly, all three of these guns were designed in 1913, just before World War I, by the British, and they were brought here by the Japanese, and they were installed here and brought up the jungle by forced Chamorro labor, ironically never to be put in action. So these guns today serve us as a living witnesses of the absurdity, cruelty, and interesting facts surrounding World War II, and especially here on Guam.
Happy day, everyone. It's Amanda.
Happy day, it's the Atrium.
Happy day, everyone. I'm Chris, and we're the Mendiolas, currently stationed in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Just wanting to wish all of our friends and family back home happy liberation. Stay safe during these trying times. We love you and we miss you.
Okay, who do you want to say hi to?
Hi, Nina. Hi, Nia. Hi, Grandma. Hi, Starry. Hi, Nina and Jamie and Katie and Aaron Boy. Hi, Grandpa. Hi, Papa. Hi.
Bye.
Bye.
KUAM, we just wanted to wish you a happy liberation from the Santos family in Bremerton, Washington.
Happy liberation.
Happy liberation.
Happy day, Guam, from the Santos family out here in Washington. We want to wish you guys a happy Liberation Day. 1, 2, 3. Happy Liberation Day, Guam.
Hi, my name is Yolanda San Miguel Mullins from Spring, Texas, and this is my husband, Robert. We would like to wish everyone in Guam a happy 76th Guam Liberation. Bye.
Please stay tuned and use the hashtag BIBA Liberation 2020. We are back right after this.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
I'm not regular. I will not give you regular. I will not give you regular.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
Welcome back, everybody. We hope that wherever you are, that you are commemorating the island's liberation safely and with family. Let us know in the comments below where you are celebrating Guam's liberation. Let's get back to the show.
Panahan milu Panghina village the Santa Rita Sa todo bahay taw-taw na anya Si Taka sumasagagi hozu Si Galaku maliligid sa land Si Taki fiunas taki magnog Ay na pinikaru si Zo
Nagas bumi sino dan si tuksa Si bakakang bumi sino dan si hit Si belok bumi sino dan si mora Hai na penikarong si Joe Na bani dosu hamzu tau tau santarita Sa todo klasi mafanaan me too Mangina village Tiza santarita Sa todo bahay tau tau na onya Si panting sa mumuzan si petsu Si jeras manihut gas kampu Si makagagiak su makaka Ay na pinikaru si Joe Si hinara mambet bendi na hara Si toa manihutan si to Si tsali pihuna sabit Pedro Ay na pinikaru si Joe Si Brand manihutan si Big Commissioner si Robert and Dog Kid Si Chow Dog manihutan si Cap Ay na pinikaru si Joe Hula mas na anya santarita No mapus anakku na konta Panidosu tau tau santarita Sa bonita mampu si village-nya Tapani dosu hamzu tau tau santarita Sa todo klasi mafanaan me too Mangina village Tiza santarita Sa todo bahay tau tau na anya Sa todo bahay tau tau na anya
We were born and raised a big part of a village family. Our kids were taught to show their love, respect and harmony. We lived a simple island life beneath a mango tree. And it's all because the soldiers fight for our island to be free. And I'm proud to be a Guamanian where America's day begins. And I can't forget the women and men who fought for my brown skin. And I humbly bow down and thank them for all the sacrifices they made. 'Cause they give so much unselfishly to defend the USA. Atop the hills of Talafofo, down around the southern way, in the center of Agatya, across the Pago Bay, from Jigo to Umatak, and all down to Monbay. The Romanian soldier lives and breathes the spirit of Alpha Day. And I'm proud to be a Guamanian where America's day begins. And I can't forget the women and men who fought for my brown skin. And I humbly bow down and thank them for all the sacrifice.
Liberation Day, at least the virtual one, continues right here on KUAM, and I am very, very honored to be joined by the mayor of Melesso, Ernest Chargaloff. How's it, Mayor?
How How are you doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, the entire island, not just, your own southern villages, is concerned. We've been praying for you. We know you had a health concern. How are you doing, Mr. Mayor?
I'm okay, other than my balance, a little slurred speech comes and go. But otherwise, I've got my limbs, so I'm kind of able to walk on my own without the assistance of the walker. But with therapy, speech, and physical, I think with the help of God and thoughts and prayers from family and friends, I think I'll be able to, at least recover some kind of normalcy in my speech as well as my physical.
Well, you have had no shortage of prayers because, like I said, like everybody on the island was praying for you because you're one of our favorite mayors, and you epitomize what it means to be Melesso tough. Melesso is a very strong, very resilient village, and that kind of leads us into why we are here celebrating as a community and as a family today, because even though COVID has taken away so much from us in our normal way of life, we still get together to, in some way, to celebrate Liberation Day. So what does liberation mean to the people of Melesso?
Jace, yeah, we need, although we cannot socialize and be able to congregate, but we're able to commemorate in spirit. And my council and I, my staff, we asked the church if we can go ahead and have a mass in honor of those that lost their lives during the invasion, those that were massacred in our two sites in Tintanpa, and those men that bravely revolted against our captors, and we need to commemorate and perpetuate that. Even though we cannot get together, we can be there in spirit, and because of the COVID-19, to avoid having to spread it, because that's what the COVID-19 wants, is the mass congregation so we can infect everybody else, Mm-hmm. So like you said, as much as I would like to commemorate and perpetuate it by having the site visitation and the memorial services, we're not able to do that because of this COVID-19.
Now, one thing that I've always known about you as a mayor for these southern villages, you've always made sure that the young generation of young people in your village, understand the history and not just the language, but what really goes into being a resident of Melesso. So how do we pass along the lessons and the honor that we have for liberation to a new generation, to the children?
Well, Jay, history, that's what it is. This is not only a history of Melesso, it's a history of the island and the world, Japan, Guam, the United States. But we here in Melesso, we try to commemorate and perpetuate all the atrocities that our people had to endure during both the invasion and the occupation, and just prior to our liberation. So in order for you to appreciate and understand, what our people, our elders went through, we have to know the history of what transpired during that period. So in order to do that, the elders have to engage the younger ones so that they, in turn, can hold the flag and continue the tradition of honoring what happened in our village. So until we get the younger generations to get involved, because all the elders are slowly passing on. So we need somebody to carry the torch and go forward to continue to commemorate and perpetuate what we went through, our people went through, actually.
All right, well, very well said,
Thank God for the liberation.
Absolutely. Thank God for BIBA liberation. So
BIBA liberation for everybody. Yes.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Mayor, we wish you and your family and all of our friends down in Melesso a very happy Liberation Day. And we can't wait until the world goes back to normal and COVID goes away, because I would love to go back down and celebrate the Crab Festival with you and the good people of Melesso.
Today, I'm Sabrina Salas Matanani, and welcome to another episode of War. We are in the village of Maritzo to share the story of what happened in Tinta and Faja during the Japanese occupation of Guam. Every year, a memorial service is held at these two sites so that we always remember.
Year after year, the Babalta family returns to Tinta.
Oh, every year I cry coming over here. Oh, coming over here.
Yeah. I cry only because my father is a husky guy, you know, he's a very healthy guy. And he's the one that supports us all the time. And I feel so bad that he was one of them that was killed, and not the one that make it.
His father, Juan Cruz Babalta, was one of the 30 Mauricio residents during the Japanese occupation of Guam that were massacred just days before American troops returned to retake the island. Molesto Mayor Ernest Chargoloff.
They marched them over here. Once they got to Tinta here in the spot, they were told to go into the cave. Once inside, the Japanese started throwing hand grenades inside. After the grenades were thrown, the Japanese probed at bodies, and everyone is still alive. Were bayoneted to death.
14 people survived to tell the story of what happened here, a story that although his father did not survive, he makes sure his life and his sacrifice are never forgotten.
I always told him about, the story of what happened, and that we just have to pray to God that, my dad's okay up in heaven, and that we ought to come every year to celebrate the memorial of them, and just to think about my dad every year and to pray for him.
After Tinta, we retraced the path where dozens of Mauricio men, some of the strongest in the village, were taken to by the Japanese. We're now in Faja. Here, the Japanese told these Mauricio men to get into a trench. They then threw grenades and shot them to death. No one survived.
It was one day after Tinta, July 16, 1944, that the Faja massacre occurred. Similar to Tinta, Mauricio residents were told they were going to be protected, but instead were killed. The Tinta and Faja memorials follow others, like in Menengan and Asin, and others that are scheduled to commemorate the island's 73rd liberation. Joint Region Marianas Rear Admiral Shoshana Chatfield.
These commemorations are becoming more and more important because as one family loses an elder, a beloved person, there's no one to tell the stories anymore. But now the stories can still be shared, and they're shared amongst families and within the community. And it helps me to understand, it helps me to honor the past.
Governor DeCalvo says memorials are also about honoring the past and learning from it.
And 73 years since that terrible battle, that we focus on peace. And I think that's what's so important here. The sacrifices of these innocents, that we use these as a springboard for peace for our generation and for future generations to come.
Hoffa Day, everyone. We're Masaya Hoffa, and we want to wish everybody a happy 76th Liberation Day. Happy Liberation!
Hapade, and welcome to Fonto Plateau Unit. This is one of the units here in Guam. Fonto Plateau Unit is very unique because behind me you will see two bunkers. Is the headquarters of the Japanese, and it's also the house of the two generals that they were directing the fight here in Guam, General Takashina and General Obata. Every orders that coming out of here were given by them. So these bunkers is the central communication of the Japanese. Inside, you will see that they have a place where they have their generator to generate power. And the unique part about these, the antennas that you will discover here, they go horizontal. So during the bombing of Guam, the 13 days bombing consecutive day and nights, this bunker over here never been touched. The Japanese built it so good. This is one of the best well-built bunkers in the Pacific, and the thing about it is built by our local people. If you look behind me, when the Americans came up into these hills, July 28, 1944, the Japanese, they have to evacuate. They have to run, abandon this central communication for them. So as they run down into these hills behind us, Takashina got shot and got killed on the 28th. It took a tank, American tank, to kill him. And we have the record of that, the very record of the tanks that killed Takashina. And Obata and all the other Japanese, they fled to the north. So they continue going north as the Americans continue to flush them out of Guam. When they reach north, that's where they commit suicide. Obata took his own life, wrote the last letter to the Japanese, saying that they gave everything they have, but they have lost.
Half a day, I'm Christian.
I'm Will.
And I'm Tyler.
And we're chemistry graduates from
Sam Houston State University in Huntsville, Texas. And we just want to wish everyone on Guam a happy liberation.
BIBA Guam!
Half a day from Gahan.
We the Guam Army National Guard soldiers.
In support of Task Force Guardians,
would like to wish our loved ones,
family and friends a happy Liberation Day.
BIBA Liberation Guam!
Half a day, Guam. Just want to wish everyone a happy Guam liberation. America and Jordan Villa-Gomez, stationed out in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii.
Half a day.
Happy Liberation Guam! From the Wright family in Conroe, Texas. Adios!
Stay tuned. KUAM's live stream of our virtual Liberation Parade continues after the break.
Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood. Our 76th Virtual Liberation Day Parade is brought to you by DOCOMO Pacific, Better Together, and the committee to elect Robert Underwood.
Hafide, and welcome back to KUAM's first ever virtual Liberation Parade. We celebrate with you all over the world, and thank you so much for joining us. Here's more of the worldwide celebration.
Winasan Hafide, Guam. We, your friends and family at Anderson Air Force Base, would like to take this moment to wish you a very special 76th Liberation Day anniversary. Though an invisible enemy prevents us from uniting in celebration this year, we stand alongside you as one community. We honor the bravery and perseverance of the Chamorro people and the courageous war heroes who sacrificed their lives to defend your sacred land, heritage, and livelihood.
Every year on July 21st, we not only commemorate the relief from war, but the peace and friendship that has prevailed over the past 76 years.
The United States returned and liberated us. It gave us a chance to rebuild our lives.
To our active duty, reserve, and Guard service members, use this time to reflect on your commitment as warfighters and your impact on communities we protect. Always know that you are serving for the greater good and always stand ready. We thank you, your families, and the good people of Guam for continuing to carry us as we execute the mission every day. Remember to honor those who have given their lives for the freedoms we enjoy and immerse yourselves in the spirit of Half a Day.
We were here for you in 1941. and we will continue to be here for you, now and into the future, strengthening our partnership and fellowship and commitment to freedom, security, peace, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. Undankalu, Nasija Usmaase, BIBA Guam.
There's no one complaining. There'll be days like this when everything falls into place like the flick of a switch. My mama told me there'll be days like this when you don't need to work. There'll be days like this when no one is in a hurry. Mama told me there'll be days like this when you don't need an answer. There'll be days like this when you don't need a chance. There'll be days like this when our parts of the puzzle start to look like they might just stay. But just have to remember there'll be days like this. You don't have no freeloaders out to get your piece. When it's nobody's business, it's the way that you want to live. Oh, I just have to remember there'll be days like this when no one steps on my dreams. There'll be days like this when people understand what I mean. Like this, when you ring out the changes, how everything really is. So I just have to remember that days like this. Na 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 Mama told me there'll be days like this. My mama, she told me, yeah, there'll be days like this. Oh, my mama, she told me, there'll be days like this. Mama, she told me, there will be days like this. It's not always raining. There'll be days like this when there's no one complaining. There'll be days like this when everything falls into place like the flick of a switch. My mama told me there'll be days like this.
Hafaday and greetings from God's country. Today we celebrate our 76th celebration from captivity. Despite the coronavirus pandemic, enjoy this wonderful event with your families and be mindful that we must follow all guidelines before us to stop the spread of COVID-19 virus. God bless America, and I bid Allah.
Well, I think it's a good celebration to remind us of the fact that we all want our freedom and we want to celebrate our freedom, but we also want to make sure we use our freedom responsibly.
And here in God's country, the festival happens every year in April. So everybody's welcome to come down and join us for a big celebration down south. So hopefully next year we'll come down and join us on this celebration.
I'm Chief Coyle from the U.S. Navy, part of the NMC PAC EAD unit Guam. Our sister village is Talatopo. Today we're going to have some sailors showing off some of the fallen heroes from Talatopo in honor of the Liberation Day celebration. So our first fallen hero is PFC Ernest P. Santos. Our second fallen hero, Rafael Santos. Our third fallen hero, Johnny S. Kadagi. Fourth fallen hero, David M. Atogui Gordon. Our fifth fallen hero, Richard Jr. Apatui. And then our sixth fallen hero, Major Henry San Nicholas.
The Valley of the Lati, nestled on the banks of the Talafofo River, represents thousands of years of Chamorro culture and history. First signs of life in the area have been carbon dated back to 206 BC. Fast forward to 1944, a young soldier from the Japanese Imperial Army, Soichi Yokoi, instead of surrendering to American Liberation Forces landing on Guam, he and two of his comrades sought refuge in the Talafofo and Babula Valley, hoping their mother country would come and rescue them. 28 years later, in 1972, Yokoi is captured by two Talafofo residents and brought to Surfside Cafe for interrogation, the present-day Valley of the Lati gift shop. The repatriation of Yokoi to his home country of Japan was a historic milestone for the village of Talafofo and our island in connection to World War II. 76 years after the liberation of Guam, the Talafofo River Valley has become the iconic location where Chamorro culture and history is brought to life and shared with visitors from Jigo to Japan, California to Korea, and many more throughout the world. We strive to be the place chosen by the people of Guam to celebrate our culture and share the beauty of our island with all that visit. We are honored to have our cultural practitioners share and celebrate with us on the land where our ancestors lived and flourished. We are also honored to have Itaw Tauta, our military brothers and sisters, and all our international guests share in this experience at the Valley of the Lati. We have endured a world war, and we are now faced with another global challenge wreaking havoc on our people. But we are strong and resilient, and will overcome once more all the challenges placed before us. We are proud to be part of the Talafofo and Southern Guam community. BIBA Guahan.
welcome to another episode of War. I'm Sabrina Salas Matinati. Between the hills of Talafofo and Jotnya is Menengan, the site of a concentration camp during World War II. Thousands of Chamorros were forced to march to Menengan. Many children, women, and men died from the treacherous journey, but others survived. It was almost 20 years ago the Menengan Memorial Foundation was established so that we always remember.
Is everybody aware of the schedule of what's going to happen? All right?
Here in a conference room in Hagåtña, the planning is underway to once again host the day-long commemoration to honor Guam's greatest generation. Former Senator Willie Flores is the president of the Menengan Memorial Foundation.
And I want to thank all of you for volunteering, because it's not easy to put an event like this together. I'll just warn you, it's a very meaningful event, but it's a very emotional event. So get ready to deal with those emotions when you hear them, because they're 73 years later. Those emotions are still very, very real.
During the Japanese occupation of Guam, thousands of Chamorros were suddenly ordered to march to Menengan. Senator Regine Bisco-Lee is serving as this year's chairperson of the event.
Several people who were sick and injured along the way ended up dying on the forced march, and so in our commemoration we remember them, but many of them stayed for a long duration at this place. They came with the clothes on their back. Many of them had little to no provisions, and they were kind of left there with no shelter, no real food or water. So if you can imagine having to leave everything, your home and walk with your family from someplace as far as Jigo all the way down to the Ilig Bridge in Jotnya, that's quite a considerable distance, and many of them suffered atrocities along the way. There were people who were beheaded along the way, but for the grace of God, they made it to this site, and then they had to live out the remaining weeks and months of the war, relegated to this concentration camp. So it's something that is really difficult, I think, for the younger generation to even fathom. But I think that's one of the reasons why it's so important that we continue to tell these stories.
Stories that you won't necessarily find in history books or museums across America. Former Senator Frank Bloss Jr. is the president of the Guam War Survivors Memorial Foundation. Like the Menengan Group, Bloss's was formed to ensure Guam's story is not forgotten.
The foundation began in 2009, and it was as a result of, I was on a trip to D.C., brought my wife along, and I had another colleague, Senator Tina Barnes, with me, and they wanted to look at some of the exhibits that were there, the museums, and we went and saw the Holocaust Museum. Then they wanted to see what the War in the Pacific Museum had, for Guam. Went to the Smithsonian where they had the exhibit, and unfortunately, within the 10,000 square foot exhibition of the War in the Pacific, Guam was only on a poster board that was no more than 18 by 34 inches, with a little red dot saying this was where the offensive into Japan started, and that was it. My wife, very distraught, said, this is not right, something has got to be done, we got to honor and remember our survivors. Came home, we got with some very close friends, put our money together, and started the War Survivor Memorial Foundation. And since then, everything that we do is to honor and recognize our survivors.
And to think that a place that is U.S. territory or U.S. soil is not really spoken about, whether it's in U.S. history books or World War II history books, and if we're relying on other people to tell our story, we're never going to get anywhere. So I agree with Senator Bloss. We need to take ownership of this. This is our story. We need to make sure that we are saying it out loud to ourselves and to our children, and make sure that they continue to perpetuate it. It's extremely important in order to really have a sense of where we're going in the future. We need to make sure that we have a clear understanding of our past. And so I think that's another reason that it's so important to really have this time, especially at this time of year, to focus in preparation for Liberation Day. We're focusing on all of the things that our Manamku had to endure to even get to that point.
And what they had to endure is almost too difficult and painful to believe.
The story of Manangan has to be told. One of the most disappointing things I've ever heard was when President Bush, I forget which president, father or the son, probably because, like most people in the States, you know, they don't know what happened here in Guam, but the President of the United States himself said that Hawaii was the only place where American soil was destroyed or damaged during World War II. So this is the kind of educational knowledge that we have to instill, not only in those that we are partners with in the States, but our families here, because you guys know that many folks our age, or many folks your age, you know, don't know what happened at Manangan, at Faha, at Tinta, at Fena. This year, our featured speaker was a lady whose brother and sister survived Fena, and when you hear about it, you'll be freaking out, because the brother and sister, survived Fena. They were part of the people that were grenaded. You know, the Japanese threw hand grenades into the cave, but they survived by hiding under the dead bodies. You know, and so imagine you're hiding like Tina here, right? And you feel, like I said, forgive me for being graphic, and you feel the bayonet going into Tina. You know, imagine that. Imagine you are a, how many of you here are mothers? Okay, imagine you're a mother, you have a young girl, 13 to 18 years old, and you have to take chicken blood when you see the Japanese coming, and the rumor goes to the camp that they're coming to take the young girls, and you take chicken and you kill it and you take the blood quickly and you smear it all over her to make it look like it's that time of the month, just to protect your child. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. So this is the kind of stuff that we cannot forget. We also cannot forget the will of our Chamorro people to survive.
And to share the story of what happened in Manangan, the day-long commemoration traced the journey our Manamko were forced to make to get to Manangan.
How's it, everybody? I'm Joe Guam. Hey, thanks again for tuning in. Want to say happy Liberation, everybody. Hope you guys are all out there celebrating safe and just being able to share some time with your family. This next song I'd like to do for you is an original song that we just wrote back in March when we first went into quarantine. This was written by my wife and my daughter and I, and this is a song called Day by Day. You know, the message behind this song was really just to try and keep everybody's spirits up, you know, give a positive vibe, a positive outlook out there, and just take things day by day. You know, we really don't know what's going to happen, you know, not even a week or a month or even, you know, a couple months or a year from now. So really we could just take this day by day, just, you know, be kind and look out for each other and live for one another and just have some love and peace in your heart. So I like to share that message with everybody. Hope you guys enjoy the song again. This is a song called Day by Day. It's an original song. Hope you guys enjoy this one, huh? Times are changing, things are strange, and we are so confused. Lives matter, but some are forced to choose. But keep your head up, pour your heart out. Yeah, we gotta believe that if we stand together, we'll make it through anything. It'll be okay. If we're living for each other, take it day by day. Our color doesn't matter. It's bigger than you and greater than me. We're doing this for humanity. Put your faith in one another. We'll find a way. Don't give up. Give it your best. It's okay to be afraid. Our lives have changed so much since yesterday. We can do our part to fill our hearts with love and happiness. The sun will always rise and shine again. It'll be okay if we're living for each other. Take it day by day. Our color doesn't matter. It's bigger than you and greater than me. We're doing this for humanity. Put your faith in one another, we'll find a way. Okay, if we're living for each other, take it day by day. Our color doesn't matter, it's bigger than you and greater than me. We're doing this for humanity. Put your faith in one another, we'll find a way. Bigger than you and greater than me. We're doing this for humanity. Put your faith in one another, we'll find a way. It's bigger than you and greater than me. We're doing this for humanity. Put your faith in one another, we'll find a way. Douglas Deuce Moss, everybody. Thank you again, KUAM, for letting me share some music with everybody. Happy Liberation Day, everybody. Stay safe.
Welcome to Alpaca Point of the War in the Pacific National Historical Park. Together with Guam Point, Alpaca Point comprises the two southern landing sites that are national park sites today. Alpaca in Chamorro language means white. And if we look south from here, we can practically see the whole invasion area, the southern landing area, stretching from Alpaca Point all the way to past Guam Point. Alpaca Point has two pillboxes, one of which we see right here. These are excellent examples of the way the Japanese used the terrain to be able to build a well-concealed defensive positions, such as this pillbox and such as the gun emplacements and pillboxes that we have seen at Guam Point, at Ascent Beach, and throughout the island of Guam. There is a tunnel that was dug inside the ridge that connected this pillbox to the pillbox that is further down the ridge there. And again, the Japanese used these pillboxes for machine guns and smaller arms, and they were designed to cover the left flank of an invading force by pressing fire from two pillboxes that we have on the southern side of the ridge and from the surrounding areas here. And we are looking at the entrance to a tunnel that connected the pillboxes that are situated on the southern side of this ridge. The tunnel was used to be able to move people and ammunition without being discovered by the enemy and without being subjected to fire from the enemy. So to man those pillboxes, it was extremely important to have a path leading to them. That way they could supply the people inside those pillboxes with ammunition and other necessary supplies.
Buenas and Alpha Day from the southwest border. I'm Sergeant Bomba Cruz. I would like to say hi to my wife, my fur babies, my family and friends back home. I love and miss you guys so much. Happy Liberation Guam. BIBA.
Buenas and half a day. My name is Specialist Ricofar. I just want to say Happy Liberation Guam. And stay safe during this pandemic and look out for each other. To my friends and families, I miss you and I love you all. See you all soon. Peace out.
Half a day. We are the Luhans from Houston, Texas, and we'd like to wish Guam a happy Liberation Day.
Viva Guam!
Buenas and half a day from the southwest border.
We are soldiers from the Guam Army National Guard, and we'd like to meet our friends and family back home.
Thank you for your continuous love and support.
We'll be home soon.
Happy Liberation Day!
And with that, we are going to conclude our first ever KUAM Virtual Liberation Parade. But brief, Truly, in our hearts, who we are, and in our spirit as Guamanians, the celebration never stops.
Thank you everyone for watching. Please stay safe, wear a mask, BIBA Guam.
BIBA Liberation!